Welcome back to HPL. We saw ErA take a slow, oh so slow victory here in game number 1 over Neirea. And Neirea getting his his first game under his belt here in HPL. That couldn't be the deck he was expecting to play against.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a rare choice to see from anyone, but if there's a player who's going to play it, it's someone exactly like ErA. Loves to play these crazy strategies where their opponents don't have strong reads in the early game. I mean, he's kind of going to the next level to throw off exactly what you're thinking. I mean, a lot of times we'll see players queue up decks like Warlock, and they'll swap back and forth between aggression and control. But ErA is like going the distance on that one. He's like, oh, it looks like Freeze Mage, wrong Sludge Belcher. And then suddenly your whole game plan is like, you're like, oh my gosh, I did not expect this to happen. Now what do I do?
So we're about to find out what he's doing here in game 3 between ErA and Neirea. Now, ErA, again, could queue up Mage here, and there's a full range of decks he could be playing. We've seen people do this before in HPL.
Yeah, but once again, he's going to go against the grain and queue up what looks like a very strange style of Druid deck. I mean, Ramp Druid, this is something that Dog loved to play for a long time, but it's kind of fallen out of favor. I mean, the fact that, a lot of the decks have been so refined to this point, the removal spells that people play are so efficient, and that stuff like Abusive Sergeant and Big Game Hunter has become such a critical combo to some of the Warlock strategies. Something like Ancient of War, it fell out of favor before because it was checked by something like Black Knight, but that just doesn't happen anymore. That's a Chromagus and a Faceless Manipulator in ErA's hand. What is going on?
I'm not really sure. I think this is just big guys, like Druid big stuff.
Wow.
We saw Nourish in his hand as well.
Yeah, even the client was surprised by his hand, and so we're going to get this point of view up for you as soon as we can. Just going to wrap this straight away. I imagine this is going to be drawing a card. He is in this one for the long haul. Look at this hand, ladies and gentlemen. Sylvanas is in this hand. Faceless Manipulator, Ancient of War, Chromagus. What's happening?
See, this hand may look pretty bad to you, but Neirea may not be able to kill him super quickly. But here's the thing. If he draws an Innervate, and that's what I was about to say, he gets to play Emperor Thaurissan right now.
Wow, this is going to be a massive swing in the game. Neirea going to have to deal with his Emperor Thaurissan, at the same time makes ErA's entire hand cheaper. So he even has turn 4 plays now with Sludge Belcher. Faceless Manipulator becoming a lot cheaper will allow him to couple this with something like the Ancient of War to stick on board. Harrison Jones is going to be a dead card versus ErA right now. This hand is looking fantastic from ErA's point of view.
Yeah, and it's as I said it, the Innervate just pops into his hand and just makes everything okay.
Wow, this is going to be a very crazy game. Neirea, though, does have a little bit of aggression rolling here, so if he can couple this with something like Execute, there's a potential for him to get enough pressure to really put the test to ErA and see if he has the long game to sustain through this kind of aggression.
Yeah, and then you know what? ErA does have the long game to sustain through this kind of aggression. You see the Sylvanas, you see an Ancient of War, you see a Chromagus. I haven't seen that professional play, I think, ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty rare one to be playing, Something that was a really interesting talking point for that card is that it was sitting at the 6 health point. At the 6 power point, so it wasn't vulnerable to Big Game Hunter, but investing that much mana into a minion that doesn't immediately impact the board, it's kind of a risky proposition.
There's even a mind control tech in this deck.
Hey, 5 mana Sylvanas. It's been a while since I've seen that one, but man, is it good. In this spot now, I mean, once again, Neirea's put in a very uncomfortable position where he's kind of committed to this game plan of aggression. He doesn't have the option to play defensive anymore, so he's going to load the board up, and that 4th minion's going to activate that mind control tech.
Oh, we're going to see oh man, come on. We're going to see a good one here from Mind Control. What's he going to get?
Oh, gosh, it could have been disastrous. But stealing the Armor Smith here, this isn't actually bad for him now. He gets to continue to pad this life total and, stick it to Neirea. I don't think that the card advantage battle is something he's going to lose anytime soon. And he also gets to couple this with a Wild Growth this turn if he wants to.
Yeah, he gets the Wild Growth this turn. It'll give him 8 mana next turn, though, so not a ton of value out of that. He will get to weave in a Hero Power and a Zombie Chow if he feels that's necessary here this turn. And I gotta believe that. I think that's what he's gonna do, but you don't know what's in ErA's deck. The full range is in play here, so he may actually need the Wild Growth in case he draws a certain card.
Wow, just gonna favor the Hero Power here, so keeping that Wild Growth in his hand, he has the intention to couple that later in the game, maybe with the Chromagus, to just, put up an astounding amount of card advantage. But again, he has to be able to stave off the aggression, so if he doesn't have a taunt down on a critical turn where Neirea can do something like Grommash, that could potentially spell danger. So that's something he's gonna be looking for.
Yeah, we even see a Sinjin's Fieldmaster in Neirea's hand here, so we're seeing some odd cards here in this game.
Oh, Iron Beak Owl gets picked up. So crucial versus this Sylvanas right now.
What a great draw for Neirea.
But at the same time, I mean, he's going to be staring down an Ancient of War, and he doesn't have an Execute in his hand. And he's got a full board of minions to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, this is looking bad for Neirea here. ErA's just he's already got a huge board presence, and it's just gonna keep getting bigger and bigger every turn.
Despot. I mean, is he going to push for damage? I mean, again, he's so committed to the game plan of pushing for damage. I guess he's decided he can't follow through on that game plan. I don't think it's a bad choice by any stretch of the means. Gonna hold on to the Iron Begal too. He wants to get the board completely cleared out of the way. You know, the fact that he's down to very few minions left means that this Sylvanas can be checked, and he doesn't have a ton to worry about. So I actually like this line from Neirea, being very patient with this Iron Begal. Maybe he's going to need it later on.
Yeah, it's very true. It's going to be interesting to see what ErA plays this turn. He's got a lot of options. I don't know if Faceless Manipulator is necessarily the best one, but Ancient of War and Cro-Magus are both huge minions. They're going to have a lot of implications over the next
I think
couple
I just like jamming down the Cro-Magus, force him to deal with it in this position. If he can't deal with it straight away, you're going to run away with the game. But, you know, setting up a defense behind Ancient of War, I think is totally fine as well. It does leave him a little bit more susceptible to something like Execute, but I think he's okay with that right now.
Yeah, I think he's going to be okay with it. You're probably going to see him run the Armor Smith into the slime here, get a damage on it, so if the Death Bite triggers... Oh, this is interesting. I didn't think he would put a damage on his Sylvanas here.
Yeah, well, at this point, I don't think he's worried about losing the Sylvanas in this position. It's kind of done its job. It's very much dictated the way that Neirea is going to play this game. You know, I don't think he's expecting Iron Begal whatsoever, so the fact that this is hitting this turn and wiping out this, you know, this Ancient of War, 5 of its health anyway, this is looking like...
This is a great Death Spite here for Neirea,
yeah,
by the way.
This is just looking like such a terrible spot for Neirea in this position. ErA is totally okay with losing all these minions. I mean, you know, what does he have to fear from this kind of board position?
Yeah, he does have a lot to back this up with Cro-Magus and Faceless Manipulator behind this.
Yeah, so Brawl could potentially, you know, be a very valuable card this turn. How ErA chooses to approach the situation is going to be interesting. And even Cenarius being added to this hand, so just wanting to, again, keep very strict control over the board. He's you know, in this position, he's like, you know what, I'm at 27 health after this hero power. You know, he's free to leverage his life total, even despite the fact that he took that early aggression. Keeps this 1-1 on the board. It's a little bit annoying, I think, in Neirea's spot.
Ooh, Execute is a good pickup for Neirea here going forward in this game. Now, ErA was actually at 11 armor there last turn. I don't know if I've ever seen a Druid at that high of an armor total.
It's been a long time since I've seen one quite that high, but you know, Cenarius here, we've seen ErA be patient over and over again with all of his minions. This Cro-Magus had a couple spots where it could come down, but he just wants to set up a full board position, and I think Neirea's okay with this. This is a spot where the Brawl could potentially give him a massive lead in this game. Like, say this Harrison Jones wins the Brawl, this is, I mean, that all of a sudden the game could be turned around. He's got 2 Executes and a Shield Slam in his hand.
Yeah, he's got a lot of removal in his hand. This game might turn around quite a bit here, as you said, over the next turn. It just matters how this Brawl works out. You got to believe Neirea is going to Brawl in some way, shape, or form this turn.
Now, the big question is whether or not he wants to attack, because 2 things happen when he attacks one of these minions first. The first one is he's putting extra damage on his Harrison Jones, but the second one is that he's actually increasing the percent chance that the Cenarius itself wins the Brawl. It goes from a 20 to 25% chance, so he's just going to Brawl straight away. And this is a big moment. If this Harrison does not win, it could be dire straits for Neirea. So doesn't get the luckiest Brawl in the world, but he's got Death Spite to pick off this 2-2 and start moving forward.
Yeah, Neirea's got to feel like this is going his way here the last couple turns. It looked like it was getting out of control there for a little while on ErA's side, but you know what? Neirea is starting to navigate this pretty well.
Yeah, Wild Growth coupled with the Cro-Magus. What a patient game that ErA has played so far, and now it's going to start paying off for him a little bit. Doesn't have anything to couple with this Faceless Manipulator quite yet, though.
Not exactly the card he wants. He gets to play something else this turn if he wants. He might get to Faceless Manipulator his Cro-Magus.
Wow, chooses not to. I'm actually like very surprised that he did not Faceless Manipulator his Cro-Magus in this spot.
Which he would have gotten double executed, but you got to believe that it's at least an option he should have thought over for a second.
Yeah, I mean, it's just he passed the turn so quickly in this spot. But now ErA's, you know, kind of out of action in this spot, but Neirea's sort of out of action too. I mean, he's got Execute and a Shield Slam, but you know, how do you make effective use of these cards right now? Yeah,
they don't really have a ton of effective use right now. Keeper of the Grove is drawn here for ErA, so it's going to be interesting to see if he wants to actually silence the Sludge Belcher just to start to try to get in some beats here over the next couple turns, or if he wants to save it for, like, you know, something a little more important down the line, like picking off a Cruel Taskmaster or something like that. But I got to believe you're going to see him play it here in a turn or 2.
Yeah, just going to hero power, no attack.
I was wondering if he was going to innervate as well here just to try to get way ahead of the board. That is a much better target to silence for your Keeper of the Grove. Yeah, but it's a 5/5 body still in that same regard. So ErA going to have his second Sylvanas of the game here. Going to be able to Faceless Manipulator this and then silence afterwards. And I have to believe that with his hand right now, that's what he's got to do to put this game back in his court. Oh, he's 1 mana short of going Faceless Manipulator, Keeper of the Grove, Ancient of Lore. That would be one hell of a turn. Yeah, he's thinking about the Ancient of Lore instead, though. I mean, it's certainly not a bad play in this position.
it will start to check. You know, the Sludge Belcher's in play. I don't think Neirea is going to be thrilled to run his Sylvanas into an Ancient Allure on an empty board in this spot. But Faceless Manipulator and then following up with Keeper of the Grove on their Sylvanas.
That's just too much value to pass
It's
up, I gotta
just
believe.
so good. I mean, this puts Neirea in such a bad spot.
This game has been so crazy. There's been so many huge, impactful minions played over and over again. You're seeing a crazy deck here from ErA, and even Neirea with some interesting cards in his deck as well.
Yeah, Shield Block, I think he's happy to get that one out of the way. Gets an extra card in the meantime as well. And Ysera, that's the wrong order to draw. I mean, actually, it might be the right order to draw those cards in, considering that this Sylvanas is on the board. He has to deal with it before he can play this Ysera, I would say.
Yeah, and this Ysera has a chance to run away with this game if ErA doesn't find a way to check it over the next turn.
Sedge's going to help out a little bit. I'd like to see this Ancient Allure first.
Yeah, I think you should draw 2 cards here first. You have 2 Innervates in your hand, so you get the, the full...
Wow.
You could play another Ancient of Lore here this turn and draw 2 more cards if he wants to, but... Looks like he's just going to Keeper of the Grove here.
Yeah, he's going to silence his body and then trade off the Sylvanas. Take that 3-2 away, and now he's finally got pressure on the board. But Ysera is going to come down here for Neirea in this position. Is this going to be enough to turn this game around? I mean, there's some big draws available. Something like Ysera's Awakens.
Oh, it would just be huge here. Neirea is at a ton of life here, too, by the way. ErA will not be able to close out this game super fast. You got to believe he doesn't have something like combo in this deck. He probably can't make room for it with all these extra, big minions that he's got. So it's going to be interesting to see how he's going to push this game into ending here, or he's going to try to... Wrath, not the worst thing in the world. He can pitch in a lot of damage here on this Ysera.
Yeah, I mean, this gives him enough damage to kill the Ysera in this spot.
I like drawing 2 cards first. You have another, I think he has another swipe left in his deck as well.
Yeah. Let's see what he picks up from this, but gosh, he's just got so much pressure rolling for him now.
Yeah, there's the swipe.
But, is he going to swipe this turn? I don't think he is. I think he'd like to save that for, a bigger spot. Could draw a card off this and then use his life total as well. I mean, that is, a perfectly reasonable option, but with a 5-1 and a 5-5 in play, I think this is more than enough to sort of force the action from Neirea.
Baron Geddon picked up here from Neirea. He's going to be able to pick off this 5-1.
Yeah, but it's directly threatened by the 5-3 Ancient Allure. It's going to be left behind. So, going card for card at this point is probably not a winning strategy, considering the way this game has been panning out.
Druid of the Claw picked up here. If ErA wants, he can swipe and use his hero power here to clear off this Baron Geddon out of the way.
That's exactly what he's going to do, too. Love this play.
And then he gets his Shield Master in play. So again, another development here from ErA. He's going to start to try to push in as much damage as he can over the next turn or two, because he needs to start getting this game over with now. Yeah,
with the Innervate in his hand, too, he actually can play the Ancient of War and the Druid of the Claw next turn. So Neirea's going to need a lot of help if he's going to be winning this game, and Cruel Taskmaster's not going to help him do it right now. He's got to have Execute for the 5-3, so it is checked, but the Dream card right now, not doing a lot of work, so it's a matter of whether or not...
He has a couple cool things he can do with it. He can actually attack in with the Shield Master here, his Shield Maiden on the Shield Master, and then pick up his... it allows you to pick up your own minions as well, right?
Yeah, any minion can be returned to hand, but I mean, this is the spot where ErA's going to start pushing for damage now, and Neirea, he needs a threat to get on board, and ErA just picked up Big Game Hunter, so if the threat is too big, it's going to be checked right away.
Yeah, no giant Grommash action going on here, and it's exactly what he draws here. His Grommash, he has Grommash Cruel Taskmaster if he wants to kill this Ancient of War here.
Yeah, I mean, I assume he definitely wants to kill the Ancient of Lore, but now it's a matter of which one of these minions does he pick up if he picks up a minion at all?
Well, he could also, I was going to say, he could dream one of his own minions here, which you might see him do just to make sure that he gets to utilize it again here in this game.
Oh, he's just going straight for damage.
He's going aggressive. I like
Love
this.
This play, too.
Yeah, he's going to put ErA down to 12.
Yeah, ErA's going to be able to taunt up behind this, though, take out this Grommash, and looks like this could be smooth sailing for him. I mean, he's down to...
Big Game Hunter is going to be huge here.
He's such a massive swing in this game. He's down to 2, but Neirea doesn't have any cards in his hand right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you got to believe he's going to trade off here as well.
Gosh, I mean, what can he draw to get out of this situation? Acolyte of Pains. I mean, that's.
He's out of Executes, I believe.
Yeah, he's out of Executes. He's out of Shield Slams. I mean, what does he need to pick up this game? He's like an Ironbeak Owl. I don't think he has a second one in his deck, and certainly he's not going to have Black Knight if he's got Harrison Jones.
Yeah, I mean, you got to believe that it was correct for Neirea to really push there that turn. Get ErA down to 2. It's like probably one of the only chances he has of actually winning the game from here. ErA's going to play even extra safe here, making a 4-6 taunt Druid of the Claw. But you got to believe that ErA is in a huge driver's seat now.
Yeah, still shapeshifting out, trying to get as much health as he can to get out of range. And is this a spot where he's going to, I would like that he's taking out the Acolyte of Pain here to, reduce the effects of something like Whirlwind if it's picked up, or maybe a Cruel Taskmaster?
Now, there is something else to be said.
About just going for the dome.
How many cards does ErA have left in his deck?
That's a very good point, too.
Like, he can't cast this Nourish. He cannot draw cards.
Yeah, I mean, both of these guys very low on cards in their deck, so I expect the Nourish to remain in his hand for the remainder of the game, but sitting behind taunts this big.
Big Game Hunter not good enough here. These minions are all under 7 power, so it's not going to be enough for Neirea.
Taskmaster would have been a great draw in that
Would have been
spot.
just amazing, yeah. If he has one left, he could save the big game hunter for that situation.
Yeah, just going to go ahead and try to start chipping away at minions, though. I mean, he's got to get to some work done.
Yeah, he's got to get to a fatigue battle. If he can get there with a higher life total, he's going to be able to win this game.
Wow, ErA's actually got 1 card left in his deck, and 2 of the cards that he has in his hand are dead right now. I mean, this has to be the push for damage, right? You have to start ending this game right now.
You can push for 10 damage this turn, and I believe you have to. What is he?
I mean, a lot of this depends on what the last card in his deck is. I mean, is it Innervate?
No, he's used both Innervates this game. This would be his second Wild Growth, so I don't think, unless there's 2 Nourish, I don't think he has a Brick left. But I'm not sure what minion would be left over. I mean, every minion is possible at this point with the deck ErA.
Yeah, I don't think he can afford to draw the card in this position unless
I don't think so either.
Gas that he's going to draw. I mean, something else we've seen from ErA's deck too here is that there's actually not been a big game target, so I don't suspect his last card is Ragnaros.
I think he's still wondering if he should draw a card here or not. You gotta believe, if I'm ErA, I mean, if you know exactly what the card is and it can push you super far ahead this turn, then...
Wow, Neirea's running out of stuff too. He's got Shield Maiden, which is, great for his life total right now, but he can't break through this 5/6 taunt quite yet. This last card from ErA is gonna be so important.
Let's see what the last one was. It's a Sludge Belcher. That is probably
any
good
amount
enough.
of pressure that can protect yourself right now is something he wants, but he's got to get this game over with because he's going to start rolling into fatigue. But so is Neirea. I mean,
he's taking a ton this turn. You got to believe ErA is a favorite from this spot.
I mean, Neirea's last card going to make a big difference here too. We haven't seen Alexstrasza. We haven't seen Ragnaros from it. I mean, it could be either of those cards right now.
Yeah, it's very, very possible. It could be one of those two, and both of those would be game breaking at this point.
He's got to push for damage to this spot. You cannot afford to take out minions at this point. I mean, you're sitting behind a wall of defense, and you're in a damage race right now.
And what is Neirea going to draw here? What is his last card? It's Dr. Boom.
Yeah, that's one.
These Boom bots could actually possibly end this game.
Yeah, I mean, this is super important right now. Neirea, needs to make sure he keeps every single minion he can in check. He's up to 13. I mean, ErA's only got 10 damage this turn, and he doesn't have a way to actually kill this Dr. Boom. And I mean, the fact that
this game's been crazy.
The Dr. Boom, I think, is going to end up being the card that ends it.
I'm just speechless. This game has been amazing. We knew it would come down to, I mean, we thought it would come down to fatigue there towards the end of the game, and ErA drew so many extra cards. And then you saw Neirea push for all that extra damage with that Grommash that one turn. Maybe that was his idea. He's like, I'm just going to try to get some damage in here, get you as low as possible. If I can't push through the end, maybe I can survive just to get to fatigue here and win that way.
I think he's got to trade off this big game hunter. He's actually just going to scoop it up. That's going to do it. He's going to lose his Ancient of War and not going to have enough damage to deal anything after that. So a grueling battle going to be won here by Neirea, and very much centered on the fact that he took the one window of opportunity he had for Grommash, pushed for that damage, and that made the difference in that fatigue war.
Yeah, he got through 12 damage that turn, putting ErA down to 2. ErA not able to gain enough life over the rest of the span of the game to outpace his own deck. He took too much fatigue there in the end and lost just what had to be just a crazy, crazy game, Nathan.
Yeah, I still am very surprised that he didn't use Faceless Manipulator on his Chromagus the turn that he had it available to him. And, something else is that he got probably one of the worst draws in his deck off of the Wild Growth with the Chromagus turn. He drew an Innervate off of it, and he needed something that was going to provide actual threats into that game. So not enough gas. Neirea able to kill all of the important threats from ErA that game. This is looking like a very grueling match. I expect more of these kinds of games.
Yeah, these games have been great. We saw Flood Mage win game 1. We saw a fatigue battle here between Control Warrior and Druid here in game 2. What are we going to see in game 3?
Yeah, I mean, it's anyone's guess, guys. You can head over to the website, pvplive.net, check out the recap for this game, see everything that they played in this one, and maybe you want to give these decks a try for yourself. Who knows what they're going to play in game 3. When we come back, we're going to find out who's taking the 2-1 lead in this series. Don't go anywhere, guys. Anything could happen in this crazy match. You're watching Hearthstone on PvP Live.